Alright, well, on the bench, I got a pair of Uniden Pro 520 XLs, two of them. Same looking on the outside, but definitely different on the inside. Different years of manufacture. So this one, start with this one actually. So this is going to be your earlier one. Date on the board says 1987. Not the year, not necessarily the year it was made, but the year, the board. This one's 1999. This is going to be your older one. This is going to be, I'm going to call this the newer one, not the newest. There's been a couple of versions, but the latest one would be like a MOSFET 520. Yeah, so they these radios have been around for quite a while, and the latest ones are MOSFET driven. The final transistor, the finals are MOSFET. They're actually IRF 520s in those radios. But these two came to me along with a Craco CB. I don't know if I mentioned, but it's these radios belong to Tall Mountain, Pennsylvania. But these two are already working. They needed just alignment. Not that you can really do much with this particular one here, but they were aligned. But when I went to go look at videos on YouTube about these to see, you know, kind of like what was out there, if any. You know, I don't really do too many of these smaller radios. But when I looked, I noticed that there was some bad information, I guess you could say, on modding these and adjusting them. So I figured I'd just do a video on not necessarily the repairs to these, but maybe kind of debunking some of the mods, some of the adjustments that you see online that are incorrect or probably not worth doing. Now, I'm not going to call out anybody. That's not what I do here. But I am going to go, if you go online, you can just Google the mods. They're all over the place. It's not from one specific person or like one specific channel. It's just bad information that's out there. That's how I'll put it. But also with the MOSFET version, I don't have one here, unfortunately. I don't own any of these smaller radios, newer ones anyway. But I do have this PC68 LTD here that is MOSFET driven. This is one of the later ones with an IRF 520. So we can I can kind of demonstrate what I'm going to be talking about with this one, because it doesn't necessarily have to be a 520 with a MOSFET, but you'll see what I mean in a second, or later on in this video. So one of the videos I saw, someone was telling, let me get a little pointer here. Somebody was telling that these three pots here, more specifically these two, not the squelch, because you can see the that one there on the far right is squelch, but you can see here that you have RX signal and TX power. So these two, those do not adjust the actual transmit power. It does not adjust modulation. Neither does this one. This is for your lights in the front. Those lights, the 1, 2, 3, 4. That's just to indicate the signal level, the power level. That's all that adjusts. You know, in the case of this radio, this doesn't have an S9. So in the case of this radio, when you give it a minus 70 dBm signal, it's equivalent to an S9. They want you to adjust that till the 4 shows up. That's what those are. Those are just that's just to adjust the meter. That's all that does. Yeah. In the case of this radio, if you have one that's this style, this is going to adjust your carrier. This one back here. This one, this one, this one, that one. That's all receive. So unless you have a signal generator, don't even mess with those. And on this one here, when I adjusted this, I only got another half watt out of it. So it's I don't think it's worth messing around with these radios. If you wanted something that's going to give you a little bit more modulation, sounding a little bit better on air, maybe it's time to upgrade from one of these radios. But with that being said, yeah, that's all that does. On this specific radio here, with this chassis, there's not much, as you can see here, compared to this one. There's not much to do. There's not much to adjust. Just receive sensitivity and then your carrier. So if you look down here, D203, one of the mods that people like to do is take that out of circuit, and it's supposed to give you a little bit more modulation, a little bit more swing. It really doesn't do too much, and I can kind of prove that. So what I'll be doing is I'll be taking that D203 out of circuit, and we'll be doing a before and after test. Actually use the scope as well, and you're going to see how pretty ugly the waveform is to begin with on these radios. So you're not sounding great to begin with, and then when you go taking that out of circuit, you're going to just watch this waveform just completely go right out the window. This one here, the same. This one actually has a bit better waveform from the factory, but one of the mods is taking out that D14, clipping that, and it kind of does the same thing. It just makes your waveform sound look horrible, and you just sound like ass on air. Yeah, nothing. These mods are not really mods, in my opinion. But on this one here, you want to adjust your TX. It's these two back here. I already did it. I already filled them back up with wax. RX, 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 RX. Yeah, and again, the same thing with these three pots here. You got squelch, and then you have RX and TX meter adjustment. And that's really all for these radios that probably a regular person would be touching. Yeah, and that's it. So this one actually has a 2166 final. This one has a 2078 final. Both, you know, for these radios, they're fine. You know, you're not going to be, you know, modulating like crazy, but for these radios, they're fine. So, yeah, again, this isn't like a repair video or anything like that. I just want to kind of do these mods. We'll see how it looks on the power meter, on the RF meter. We'll see how it looks on the scope, and we'll actually see if the juice is worth the squeeze here on these mods, or are you just putting your radio through unnecessary stress. Alright, without further ado, let's get this, we'll do this one here first. Yeah, so you can check this out. Like I said before, D203 is actually in circuit. You can actually see it in the back side there. You can see it's everything is soldered. That would be D203 right there. Alright. What I'm going to do is, maybe I'll set you guys up on a tripod and try to get a good view of both the watt meter and the oscilloscope. Alright, stand by. Alright, so on this, on the newer one, we'll do this, we'll run a test first with this D203 still in circuit. And we'll see how it looks on the scope here. Let me get this hooked up to the dummy load. Yeah, I don't think any of these mods really do much. Alright, there we go. Audio, 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 audio. All right, let's put a tone to the radio. Now you can see it's already an ugly waveform. You can see it's starting to clip, it's pinched, and that's with the AMC circuit still in circuit, and just hideous to begin with. And when you look over here at the watt meter, we're getting about 12 PEP. Alright. That's with that ugly waveform there. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go take the D203 out of circuit. I'll do that off camera, so this video isn't, not to make this video so long, so I'll just lift it up. I'll show you guys it lifted, and then we'll look at it before and after. All right, stand by. All right. You see D203 is lifted. It's right off there. All right, let me just make sure that that's not touching something else. All right. So now, let's see how this looks. Same tone. So now that's clipped. It's pretty obvious. I can actually hear it feeding back through the speaker. Audio, audio, audio. I can actually hear myself bleeding back through the speaker. But what do we get for power? What do we got for swing? We got a whopping 1 watt, maybe 2. Yeah, that's what that mod gained you. And just a horrible waveform. Horrible waveform. So I think that kind of debunks that mod. It's not worth doing for 1 watt, and then to make a pretty crappy sounding radio even crappier. I just don't think it's worth it. Not for 1 watt or 2 watts even. It's something that's never going to be noticed on the other end, and you're just putting radio through some added stress that's really not needed. Yeah, on this particular radio here with this board, that mod is pretty much debunked, I'd say. That removing D203 out of circuit is it's just not worth it. Yeah, especially if it's going to make you sound like crap on the other end. You know, gain a watt and sound like crap, or sound normal and somewhat normal and not distorted. I think I would just rather leave the radio alone. That's just me. I know people will watch this video and still do this anyway and act like it's, a free mod that look at me, I got some free power, but that's, it's kind of false. All right, I'm going to do the same type of mod to the other one and see how it actually, we'll do the same thing. Check out the waveform before and after. All right, stand by. All right, so I got the other 520 XL here. On this particular version, the mod is D14, which is right there. So, still in circuit. So let's give this one a shot and see how this thing looks with it in circuit, and then just like the other one, we'll take it out and see how it looks. Alright, audio. Alright, this is with the D14 still in circuit. Alright, hold on. It's a better looking waveform. It's not perfect. It is pinched. It is a little, it's not as symmetrical as it should be. But a way better looking waveform than the newer radio. Let's see what we're doing for power. So we're right on 12. Alright. Alright, let me take that diode out of circuit, off camera. And we'll see if this one gives us any better results than the other radio. Alright, stand by. Alright, so you can see, hopefully you can see, D14 is, I got a leg lifted off. And that's the mod for this one, the modulation mod for this particular radio. So all right, okay. Audio. You can already see it's looking like crap. All right. Yeah, same. But I'm looking at the meter here, and we definitely gained some wattage. A little bit. What, 3 watts we gained from no, what did we what is that? 18. Yeah, 18. So what, like 6 watts, 7 watts? It yielded a little bit more. Is it worth it to gain 7 watts? Probably not. Not to sacrifice sound quality. It's not something I would do. And it's not something I don't think anybody is going to notice on the other end. You know, maybe if someone's like, you know, down in the weeds, down in the mud, you know, maybe it might help you, but I don't think it's worth doing the mod for that purpose. You know, you just you're taking a radio that already has mediocre sound quality, and you're kind of just ruining it even more. Of course, this is my opinion. You know, like I said before, I think people are still going to do what they want to do. They're thinking that they're getting, you know, some crazy power increase, when I think true CBers, true techs will know that it's not necessarily the case. But it is what it is, I guess. I guess we're just going to have to move on from this, and I'll just let you guys decide on whether or not some of these mods are actually worth doing. You know, again, it's up to you guys. But let's move on to the PC68 here that I have. And I'm going to show you, because another thing I saw was on this, again, unfortunately I do not have a Uniden Pro 520 MOSFET final, but this is going to be what I'm trying to explain. It doesn't necessarily have to be the same radio. So I saw I saw a couple of videos with the 520 MOSFET driven, and it was getting like 30 watts PEP, incredibly. And at first glance, it seems like it is, you know, doesn't look too bad on the scope, but then when I thought about it, I'm like, well, talking into it and showing you talking into the scope is one thing, but actually showing the waveform with the proper tone going to the mic is another. And so what I'm going to show you right now is, again, it's not anybody specific. It's just something that I had noticed. So this radio here, it is MOSFET driven. In fact, let me take this off. I don't know if you can really see the lighting there. I mean, hopefully the lighting helps. But that is an IRF 520 back there. MOSFET. And the other thing is, you noticed R201 back here has been clipped. So this is a truckerized, I use that term loosely, truckerized radio. So R201 is clipped. And then if we look right here, not only is the resistor taken out, RT401 has also been taken out, and that's what you know, controls the modulation. So this radio is just you know, it has no AMC circuit at all. So with that being said, on the watt meter, this thing looks incredible. You know, in fact, without having a scope and just a watt meter, you think that this radio is incredible. With one single final, you're getting 30 watts peak, or just about 30 watts peak. But what you're not doing is you're not actually showing the waveform on the scope, and I think that is a huge thing to see. So without further ado, let me get this thing hooked up. Unfortunately, we're just gonna have to see this as it is, because somebody ripped out that pad. I'm not sure if you can actually see it, but where it says RT401, that's where the potentiometer would go. You could see you got the top pad, you got the bottom left pad, but somebody ripped out the bottom right pad. So yeah, some mod. A lot of these things are just ruining your radios. But yeah, again, a truckerized. So this particular person sent me this radio. I've actually already done one, and I'm not even sure if it's from the same truck stop, because the person is from the same state. But anyway, this MOSFET final has been changed out 3 times. Well, I changed it out the 3rd time, but this thing had been changed out twice already. So it came to me, I put a new final in, and when I put it on the scope and saw what it was doing on a watt meter, I'm like, well, that's exactly why the final blew. And you guys are going to see why this radio's already had, this is the 3rd final. Alright, let me get you back up here on the scope. Alright, let me hook this radio up. Alright. So now this is with just a regular mic, just a regular standard Cobra mic, nothing special. And let's see, mic gain's up. CB, ANL is off. Alright, squelch is down, not that that matters, but mic gain's all the way up. Alright. Audio, 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 audio. You can already see it's already clipped, even without putting a proper tone to it. All right, let me get this on my Service Master here. Stand by. All right. Pretty ugly. How do you think that you're going to sound to somebody else on the other side with the waveform looking like that? All right, so here's what we're doing for power, though. You guys are going to see this and be impressed with this radio. Look at that. $30 watts. Just about 30 watts. Now let me put a powered mic on this. Put this this D104 on. All right, it's cranked up all the way up to 10. I could actually hear inside the radio the feedback. Impressive, huh? Yeah, I don't want to keep keying it down because I don't want to blow this final. Because I still got to fix that pad, and I still have to fix that. I got to put that 201 back in the circuit, and I got to put this. I got to put a new pot in there and a resistor. So, but yeah, that's how you can get 30 watts out of one of these, or one of the 520s. You're not going to get it just by a simple tune. You're not going to get it, there's no special recipe that someone else is doing that another person can't do. It is, even with these MOSFET-driven radios, you still have to clip something, bypass something, do something to make these things, hit 30 watts peak. And one thing I've noticed is, of all the things that I've seen, nobody is showing you how it looks on the actual scope. Like I said, talking into the scope is one thing, but actually showing, the proper, getting a proper tone through the radio and showing it on the scope is another. You can see how it was clipped and pinched, and, one of the ugliest looking waveforms you could ever have on a radio. Does it look good on a watt meter? Sure, of course it does. Somebody who isn't aware or doesn't know is going to see 30 watts peak, and they're going to be like, wow, I have the screaming radio. But it's not going to sound good on the other end.